And we're on. This is the Great Classic Movie Debate. I'm Kenny.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Steve.
Steve needs a really good cue to let him know it's time to introduce myself.
There must be a delay because
Oh, maybe there is.
Sorry.
Maybe there is. I don't know. We talk anything and everything. Movies. It can be classic movies. It can be new movies, funny movies, not so funny movies. It doesn't matter. We just try to keep it interesting and have fun. If you're watching right now, please like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, where do you want to start this week? I must add right up front that I did see Mission Impossible.
What about Oppenheimer?
Haven't seen it yet. I'm going to try to get to it this week, but haven't seen it yet.
I got to get The Sound of Freedom this weekend.
Oh, good.
Well, you touched on something about the movie Vision Quest.
Okay.
And Steve
all right, so for those who didn't see our last show, the Great Classic Rock Debate, the movie Vision Quest came up, and I sort of put it into the category of guilty pleasure because it's not a great movie. It's not a high-budget movie. However, it's entertaining. But remember, we've talked before about how you can use different grading scales. Like from the perspective of cinematic excellence, this is not a great movie. From the perspective of entertainment, it blows the lid off. It's so entertaining and fun to watch. And for whatever reason, in the mid 80s, these type of movies where the underdog, Karate Kid or whatever, comes through and defeats the undefeated champ. It was a thing in that moment. So I was 24 when I saw Vision Quest. If I had seen it when I was 44, I would have said, this is obviously for a younger audience. But when you're 24, it's pretty good.
Like when you see Billy Jack at 12. So.
Right.
What I wanted to bring up, though.
Go ahead.
Steve and I, and then our friend Jeremy was alive. He wasn't in on it too much, but Steve and I, in front of other women, just gonna stay there, had hours-long fun screaming matches about that word, contrived.
Okay.
And so Steve and I went on this for 5 hours when he lived on Redbug, I think, or Alafaya, where that damn stupid apartment complex was. And we finally had to agree because he was like picking apart every movie. And I finally made him agree, unless it happened in real life, every single movie is contrived.
That's fair.
Right? Because it's true. Right?
I use it, I guess, based upon the degree at which it deviates
from any contrivity.
Right. From which it deviates from any sense of reality, Listen, in that movie, which I love, by the way, I'm not attacking it. I'm just saying, for me, the universe of reality in which I exist does not intersect with this movie, okay? But it's one thing to have a story where the main character, Matthew Modine, his dad owns a garage where he fixes cars. Okay, so far so good. Nothing unbelievable about that. And some hot chick car breaks down and she needs to have it fixed. Okay, so far so good. And then, oh, you don't have a place to stay? Well, since the missus died a couple of years ago, we've got room at the house if you need a place to stay. And I'm just like, wow, this almost is a lead into like a porn movie at this point. Right? This is like the pizza delivery and she doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
So I'm going, oh, wow. I mean, okay, so for me, at that moment right there, it just went off of the reality highway, okay? It doesn't mean that I liked it any less because I love the movie. And Paul, what you said is correct. They build up this wrestling showdown between Matthew Modine, who, by the way, is in really good shape. He looks great in that movie. But the guy he's going to go against for the state championship is shorter and really thick
Doc,
and muscle and lean and looks like a wrestler. I mean, just really looks badass. So, but they build up that competition pretty well, and then by the time they get to the final match there, it's the drama level is really built up high. So it's an enjoyable movie. It's just not necessarily believable.
Were they even in the same weight class?
Yeah, they have to be, right?
But
Yeah.
Matthew,
They don't have to
Modine,
be in movies.
Wrestling in high school.
Yeah, but but Steve, listen, your question goes right to one of the main plot points, and that is Matthew Modine had wrestled the previous season as a junior at a higher weight class, and I think he had gone undefeated. But this kid had never lost ever, so he dieted down 10 more pounds in order to eventually wrestle off against this guy. And his team and his coach supported. I mean, it would have been easy for them to say, well, wait a second, you're screwing up everybody else's, for your own selfish reason. But they were like, dude, go out there and take him down. So,
that's contrived, because that wouldn't happen in real life.
That happens every day. What are you talking about?
No, in real life, everybody would have said, dude, you need to wrestle at the weight class you're at so you can dominate.
We had guys in my high school who they moved down all the time because.
Look, for better or for worse, that was part of the setup of the movie. So,
well, I just need to know one thing: did that guy, the villain wrestler, did he use the super pretzel hold? Did he have that in his repertoire?
Did the leg drop?
Steve, do you know that joke? We won't tell it.
That was a professional wrestler move, wasn't it?
It may have been. I guess there's a joke.
Yeah,
we'll
it's
tell
a joke.
You off air.
A really funny joke, I might add, but yeah, we'll tell it off the air.
And kudos to Kenny for getting it.
Right.
But let's go back to the main cop. But any movie, and that's you brought up with something that Steve and I never really talked about. Right on the nose is the level of deviations from reality. So if you have reality as a circle,
right, concentric circles,
one deviation too. So you're saying this is like a six sigma deviation from reality. 6 to what power?
Okay. I'm gonna take this off track for a second, but I promise I'm coming right back. But this, because you just brought that up, I think this is going to work as a good illustration. Did you guys by chance see the movie Juno? Juno.
I read it, the script, like I had to read it at UCLA for college. I know all about Diablo Cody and L.A. Page. Yeah. I'm
thinking 2009 or 2010, something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Quite a few years ago. Okay. So at the time that this movie was released, I swear it scored like a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, which if you follow Rotten Tomatoes, and I do, that's almost unheard of. Being in the 90s period is unheard of. The first trilogy of Lord of the Rings, those movies were all in the 90s. Otherwise, it's just unheard of. Movies don't score that high on Rotten Tomatoes. So this thing had a crazy high score. And virtually every person I ran into in the gym, and this is mostly a female opinion, this was one of the best movies I've ever seen. I mean, the raving just went on and on and on, right? And so I heard what it was about, this teenage girl who gets pregnant and blah, 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 whatever. So it didn't sound of particular interest to me. However, the girl who I went out with that Friday night was dying to see it. So I said, all right, let's go see it. I've heard it was really good. So we went and saw it. All right. Now, I've never actually had a samurai sword driven through my chest, so I can't say for sure what it feels like. But sitting and watching this movie, for me, was the equivalent of having a samurai sword driven through my chest. It was agony, okay? And the reason goes right back to what we were just talking about. This movie is supposed to be realistic. I mean, that was one of the things that the critics loved so much about it, was the realism. The universe of reality that I live in, does not intersect with the universe of that movie. Okay. Everything about the behavior, everything about the way they speak, the dialogue, it was just awful. And I'm driving home from the theater and I'm saying to myself, my God, I get that it's a liberal wet dream, but tell me that there's at least one movie critic, just one. All I need is one. Just tell me that there's one who saw it through the same lens that I saw it and says, what are you guys talking about? It's terrible. So I got home and I go to Rotten Tomatoes and I find that one. I find the one negative review. There's 99 positives and there's one negative. And the opening sentence, which I will remember forever, the opening sentence was oh man, now I'm not going to remember it. The disingenuousness of this beast was suffocating. That was the opening sentence of his critique. The disingenuousness of this beast was suffocating. And I went, I will sleep like a baby tonight, knowing that I'm not insane. And at least there's one other person in the universe who is sane, because that's exactly how I felt about that movie. It was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
The script was, and we read it in class for one of our producing classes at UCLA, and all the girls, like, she refers to men's penises as pork swords throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
And every time we'd read the line, the girls would all giggle. And I said, that is the least funniest name for a male genitalia I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now keep in mind, at our fraternity house, we had a guy, anyway, he was being described as his anatomy, and it took 2 stalls where all the names of male anatomy up and down the graffiti of 2 stalls. Right. And some of them were just brilliant. And some I never heard. I'm like, oh, I'm going to use that from now on. And that's so she could come up with pork swords. And she's, I don't want to rip the girl because I heard she's really nice and cool. So I don't.
Right. I don't mean it's not personal, but if we're using the concentric circle illustration that you referred to earlier, this movie, Juno, you would have to throw a rock to go far enough outside of the circle of reality. It was just so absurd. Everything about it. So for me, watching a movie, if the movie is supposed to at least represent reality, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Characters are not always exactly like, but no part of it was realistic for me. So anyway, that was my little point. If you want to bring that right back now to Vision Quest or whatever it's.
I think the other stand, I'm going to let Steve jump in here, is, let's say our concentric circles. The movie starts out, the first 2 acts starts out in the first circle, maybe the second one. But at the end of the movie, it jumps to number 6. It skips 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes into 6. For instance, Hollow Man. We can buy this guy's invisible. Kevin Bacon's invisible. But by the end of the movie, he's bulletproof, fireproof, and he's stronger than Superman. Yeah. And like, well, hold on.
That's where it becomes a problem. The premise is it's going to make him invisible. So we accept that. We know that before we even buy the tickets. So we're good with that. But then when they start piling on and adding all the other things, you go, wait a second, how stupid is this? Is like stupid on steroids, right?
That's the exact problem I have with most slasher movies. I mean, I can accept the general premise, but once you get to the Halloween movies are a perfect example. Once you get to the point where the guy's unkillable, what's the point? And that's the problem I have with the Terminator movies. Is it seems like there's no, at least the first 4 of them, which are okay. I haven't seen anything after that, but there seems to be no point because you can't defeat this.
Well, Sarah Connor kills him. A little tiny waitress kills him.
Comes back.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, for like 6 more movies.
That's a different Terminator. She destroyed him, and then in the next one they capture him and make him a good guy.
No, but there's no point. Like it's like Terminator 2. Wouldn't you just keep sending back Terminators to kill John Connor? That's a different
point. They are killable, but they ran out of ideas, so they're gonna milk the time.
And there's so many other ways. Instead of just sending a Terminator back to kill him, like there's so many other things you could do. Like, hey, let's just send a Terminator back and detonate a nuclear bomb.
Thank you.
Right.
That's right.
Anytime,
Which you can do.
anytime you're using time travel, you've got unlimited cheating, unlimited things that you can do that don't have to necessarily make sense.
Yeah.
That's
that's
one of the big problems with Terminator. Now, I mean, I like the first one. The second one's okay. I even like the third one. But it just gets to a point where it is really what's the point? You can
diminishing
just keep
returns.
Back
it's like Rocky.
Correct.
Is he going to fight at an old folks home in a wheelchair? You know, like, or is he going to be doing Yahtzee? Rocky 9.
But that's a great character. But Rocky is a good.
So was the
character.
Terminator.
Well, I don't know if the Terminator is a good character.
Well, he is because he's stupid. It's well, Sarah Connor's in there.
That's the problem I just have with most horror movies. Is you're right, Paul. It comes to a point where you can accept. Okay, you have this killer that has the uncanny ability to sneak around a house without being detected and kill people. Okay, maybe I can accept that. But then when you get shot, stabbed, thrown down into
decapitated,
decapitated, you're like, oh, the head's still running around killing people. You're like, there's no point.
Yeah, that's fair point.
The milkage, like we talked about this. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
I was going to say the other issue I have as far as contrivances in movies, I can accept a lot of things, but what I can't accept is when you see the real unattractive guy gets the really attractive girl or woman. And for some reason I'm blanking on the movie, but there is some movie where that happens, and it's like, okay, I can believe like in the aliens coming down, but I can't believe that she's going to go out with this guy.
Right.
And that happens a lot of times in movies, and I can't remember. There's countless movies where that happens. But
okay, hold on. I have to interject right here because there was this comedian years ago. A guy passed away. He had cancer. I can't think of his name, but he was on Howard Stern.
Pee-wee Herman.
No, he was on Howard Stern one morning. This is like probably in the late 90s. And he was just a funny guy. I saw what he looked like. He had a shaved head and he had a Jewish name. I can't remember what it was, but he said, so I saw this movie, Disclosure, with Michael Douglas, who plays kind of this humdrum middle-aged guy whose boss is Demi Moore, and she's a 10, and she's forcing him against his will to have sex with her. See, the way I see it, right about here is where the aliens start landing.
Yeah, exactly. I can believe the aliens landing, but I can't believe I remember seeing that movie thinking the same exact thing.
Right.
It's because they think just like when Kenny and I saw the movie Transporter 2 and the plane going 400 miles an hour straight down, and he jumps out and like splashes in the water.
Right.
And I remember, I don't know if I told you,
Road
I yell out, it's just like the Road Runner. Right. And the whole theater is laughing.
Right.
In high school, I stupidly, because and this teacher we had, who was a very smart man, we actually conducted this experiment in his Volkswagen bus. And we would drop things out when we're going 70 miles an hour. That thing would go, meow, meow, meow. You're like, oh my God. Like, you don't stop on a dime when you jump out of a car going 70 miles an hour. You keep going. Your momentum is locked in the momentum of the larger object, right? So, but so, yeah, they just think you're stupid, you know. I agree. Like, all right, what's the most preposterous movie matchup? Like, when you say ugly guy, super hot chick. I'll tell you one that's disturbing. It's disturbing. Star 80. You ever seen this movie?
Oh, you know, I saw that a long time ago.
It's about Dorothy Stratton. She was Miss Playboy of 1980. Yeah, she's the hot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend was some loser, and they were from some town, like in I have no idea where they're from.
I think they might have been Canadian.
Maybe. So they go out to California, and all these guys like, your boyfriend's a loser and he's ugly.
Yeah.
And finally,
he's a psycho also.
Yeah. At the end of the movie, he literally destroys her. He rips her in pieces because he goes nuts. And you're like, that is reality right there.
Yeah.
No, that happened in real life, Steve. That wasn't made. That was not contrived.
That really happened.
Yeah. So you're like, that's what would happen. You know, but but at least, you know, but then again, women, you know, and men can be bought quite easily.
All right. Did you have anything else on Vision Quest?
No. I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay. All right, Steve, you got to put that on your to-do list. I'm telling you, it's worth watching. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, but hold on. What's the movie? She's on Highlander first. Definitely watch Highlander.
Yeah.
That's the movie you should. I mean,
well, speaking of contrived movie, so I don't know if you guys ever saw this movie from the 80s, Soul Man, with I think it was C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah, that's exactly what
It's
it
a movie
was.
that would never be able to be made today.
Right.
Where he tries to get into law school, and I think he gets denied originally.
He does, yeah.
Or he applies in and as an African American, and then
That's what
has
happens.
to put on blackface in order to get on. Which apparently that was a funny gag in the 80s, but
well, he has one of his buddies in high school is like a chemist or something, and the guy's working on tanning pills. So he makes the batch of pills extra strong, and when he takes them, he turns out black, you know. So he gets a scholarship to Harvard as a black guy. Yeah, the premise is really idiotic. It's not a great movie, you know, but I saw it.
I mean, yeah, back then you would go into a movie. Remember those days you got a chick, you would take her on a movie, and I'm trying to think of like movies where like the Terminator, Sarah Connor's good looking, and that guy Michael Biehn at the time was a good looking guy. It's like, okay, I see that working.
Yeah.
Yep, that works. But if you see, I'm trying to think of somebody like Howard Stern or that guy Larry David and his show with his wife, he's a 2 and she's a 9. And you're like,
I've never seen a show.
Neither have I. I think I've seen Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Right.
Like, so this just like Howard Stern with any pretty woman.
I was going to say, but see, I can believe that because
she's a prostitute. Yeah.
Well, look at like Howard Stern's a perfect example. But in movies, you have a guy who doesn't have a lot of money, and for whatever reason, you know, gets the really attractive woman. In real life, that only happens if the guy has a lot of money. Like you're not seeing a guy who's a complete loser, who's unattractive, no job, no prospects for anything, and then gets the 10. That doesn't happen in real life.
Correct. But Howard's wife in real life, whose name is Beth Ostrowski, they got married like 20-something years ago. It was his second wife. She was a model, so she was really, really hot. But and he's not, but he's got a lot of money. So
yeah, exactly. That just shows you. But
I should say, in real life, it did happen to me. I got lucky. So my wife she married me. So.
Well, there you go.
Steve's wife is incredibly beautiful. Kenny's wife is incredibly beautiful, and my wife is incredible. So we all did well.
All right, we all married up.
Up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But exactly.
And plus, when women see, like if we had a woman here, most of them would say what we're saying. Like, I would never marry a guy for money. I know Kenny's had the opportunity, and I've had the opportunity in my life to marry a girl whose parents made it known to me I would never have to work again.
Right.
Ever. But I was like, I want to be in love. I'm romantic, I guess. It makes me stupid, I guess. But I can't stay with someone and waste my whole life with someone I don't love just for money. I don't care how many Ferraris I drive around, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you can only drive one car at a time anyway.
There you go.
Like Steve took his old boss's car, like this $100,000 was a Mercedes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was a Mercedes, yeah.
Into a car wash, and this super hot woman beeline to him and like threw herself on Steve, and he finally says, "That's not my car, it's my boss's car," and then she like skedaddled. Like,
yeah. I used to work at a law firm, and about once a week, my boss would say, who would buy a new Ferrari, Porsche, Corvette. He's a big fan of Porsches, but he would buy a new car every 6 months. That was his thing, and he had lots of money, and so every week I'd go wash his car for him. So it was very common for women to throw themselves at me, and I never took advantage of it. I was a very honest man back then, and I still am. But
you're a good boy, Steve, and it all paid off, right? Eventually
it paid off. So
I knew a woman who was really hot. she bought at 9. Her boyfriend was this really good looking guy. I never met him, but I seen pictures of him. And they worked down at this place called Hedonism down in Jamaica.
I've heard of it.
And this heavy
Yeah.
woman came there and fell in love with him. She was like in her mid-50s, but she was rich as crap. And at some point, she offered him like $1 million to marry her. He had to stay married to her for 5 years, but he got the $1 million right away. So he did. He left this woman who was a 9.
Wow.
This old woman. And I'm like, and I'm looking at her like, he's Looney Tunes, but she's like, he grew up poor. He never had any money in his life.
Wow.
And now he has it. So as long as he's happy.
I feel like we somewhere along the lines we got off track here on movies.
We drifted. Yeah,
Yeah, but that's okay. This is called our real life movie.
That's true, though. Yeah. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any movies that are like guilty pleasure type of things? I mean, I sort of think of Vision Quest as that, but you know,
You know what movie I like? I don't know if it's guilty pleasure, but Billy Elliot.
Oh, you know, I never saw that. I heard
I
it was
never
good.
saw that.
I heard it was good. I never saw it.
Did you see it, Steve?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
It's you will literally start getting misty eyes. It's about this boy in England. He's super athletic, and his dad was in the box, and his dad's like a coal.
That's already contrived right there.
It's not contrived. This is a real story.
Super. I've been to England. I've never seen anyone super athletic.
This
I've
happened in
never
real
watched
life.
the Olympics.
Next, you'll tell us that he was British and had straight teeth.
Yeah.
It was a good
Oh, Skinny goes for the low blow right away.
Yes.
So the guy he's supposed to go boxing, but he sees these girls doing ballet, and he starts doing the ballet with them. And
Right.
his teacher sees how talented he is, and his dad and the other people think he's a poofter, gay. And finally, his dad goes, "Are you a poofter?" He goes, "No." And he starts dancing for his dad, and his dad starts crying because he's like, "Oh my god, he's super talented." He realized it. So the dad, it's a super emotional way. The dad like
I heard it was very good.
sells his dead wife's jewelry, and breaks the picket line for this coal mine. So you have money for his son to go to the school and he ends up being like the best dancer England's ever had. It's happened in real life.
I'm going to download that.
It is unbelievably good. Like Jamie Bell plays him. You know that guy?
I didn't realize it was based on a true story.
Yeah, it's real. It's good because like his friend is gay, and he's like, "Are you a poofter like me?" And he's like, "No, I like girls. I just want to dance." And it's a guilty. I mean, it should be a guilty because it's a really good movie. And Brenda Fricker's in it. I don't know if you know that actress is. Real good, man. It's a really good cast. And the dad, you see the dad in 100 movies, but I don't know. What else is a guilty pleasure?
Well, I don't necessarily have guilty pleasures for movies because I'm proud. I know I like a lot of junk, but I'm proud of it. I'll proudly display the movies that I like out. You know, whereas music, if I hear like I love Cyndi Lauper, but I'll roll the windows up when that's on. But for movies, yeah, I don't have any necessarily guilty pleasures. I mean, I will admit I probably have seen Jaws well over 200 times.
Yeah, it's on TV tonight.
On,
it's on the American Movie AMC channel right now.
Well,
perfect.
Would you call Willy Wonka a guilty pleasure? I love that movie. That's one of my top.
No, it's a good movie.
I know, but what do you?
About Jaws. Let me just say this is.
Go ahead about Jaws. Yeah.
To me, Jaws is a perfect movie. I would say like Jaws and Indiana Jones, 2 Steven Spielberg movies, probably perfect movies. I can't find a flaw with them. And yeah, when I was on my international flight, you got a list of 300 movies to pull from. Some are new, some are old, but I always watch Jaws every time, even though I've owned it. I've seen it well over 200 times. It's a perfect movie. I never get tired of it. I don't know what we were talking. Where this
that
was
movie?
Going,
the thing
Okay,
about that
listen,
movie is
we got our warning, so make your final comments, and then we'll do our honorary Oscar.
okay. The thing about that movie, I think more than any other movie, except for maybe the movie with Michael. Oh God, Fatal Attraction. That movie Jaws created such a hysteria of sharks and going
It
into
did.
the ocean that
Yeah.
never existed before.
Right.
And that completely, like, even now, I have an irrational fear of the water because of that damn movie.
As do I.
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead, kid. Just
Have
like
you
Fatal
guys
Attraction.
seen-
Because I'm gonna mess around with my wife behind my wife's back. That's why you don't do it. And
Yeah.
a hundred other reasons. But go ahead.
Exactly. I was gonna just kind of close things out, at least for on the movie front. Like, have you guys seen Zissou yet, or Zissou?
I have it. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I didn't
Tell me
realize
who was in that. I think I
Know
saw
what you
it.
know.
It's nobody. It's a Finnish movie, I think. It takes place in Finland, so I'm assuming it's Finnish.
Okay.
And it's all it's subtitled, isn't it, Paul? I can't
Yes.
remember.
Yeah.
But it's a World War II movie, and it is
He's a
John
prospector.
Wick.
Yeah, John Wick.
John Wick in World War II,
Okay.
and that's
He's killing all the
probably-
Nazis. So
If it's a guilty pleasure, I don't know, but it's by far the best movie I've seen this year. That's original. It's still probably John Wick 4 is probably the best movie I've seen this year. But as far as original content, that's a non-franchise. Zissou, or I can't
However you
remember how
pronounce
you
it,
pronounce it.
Okay.
It's spelled Ziszu, I think, or Sisu.
Yeah.
Zissou. Best movie of the year. I give it a 10 out of 10. Really, if I was being honest, it's probably like an 8 out of 10. But
Okay.
yeah, very violent.
I gotta see it. Speaking of movies, I saw the trailer for Napoleon. Oh my god, it looks really, really good.
Who's
Like,
in that? I haven't
Joaquin Phoenix plays Napoleon.
Okay.
It's a Ridley
good
Scott
choice.
Really?
movie. Ridley
Good
Scott.
choice. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Should
really?
be good.
Now I'm very interested. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
I
like
agree.
it, dude. It's the way it's shot. It's just like I was just like speechless.
Okay. All right, fellas, give me your honorary Oscars. Who wants to go?
Go ahead, Steve.
This is an older movie, but just Best Picture. This probably came out in 1981, maybe. Time Bandits.
Yeah, I saw that a long time ago. I don't remember it very well. It was good.
It's kind of a cult classic, but by Terry Gilliam directed
Gilliam,
it,
yep.
I think.
Monty Python.
Yeah,
Yep.
Gilliam, from Monty Python fame. So it's about a group of little people who basically work for the supreme being, God, and they steal a map of time and space, and they travel through time and have all these little interactions.
They
with,
steal. They're crooks. They're thieves. They're stealing shit.
Yeah. They steal the map, yeah, and they go in. So they go to like Robin Hood. They go back to medieval England and meet Robin Hood, who's played by John Cleese, and they steal from him. They steal from Napoleon.
Ian Hall plays
with-
Napoleon in that.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
a good movie.
yeah. And he
Matter-
loves it because he finally meets people who are shorter than him. So he's like, bring these little guys up on the stage and have them perform for me. So it's pretty funny.
You know,
All right.
I'm gonna go with Steve, and I'm gonna give my honorary Oscar to the villain of that movie, who is the top 5 villain of all time, David Warner.
Oh,
He should have
Yes.
his own block in a thing of the only movie that I know of where he is a good guy is. Did you want to take a crack at it?
I've seen it and I can't remember it off the
It's
top of my
called
head. but
Straw
I-
Dogs.
oh, okay.
Yes.
He's the guy who
Yes.
kills the girl by accident. That's a
Yes.
hell of a movie,
Straw
Straw
Dog-
Dogs. Sam
Is an
Peckinpah.
amazing.
Yeah. Wasn't he
Dustin
also? Didn't he play Jack the Ripper in one of those
He did.
time
Time after
machine?
time.
Yeah.
He was the bad guy in Tron. Titanic. He was the bad guy. Remember?
Well, he was not a villain in
Waxwork.
The Omen, but he still he things end badly for him.
Oh,
in
the
Omen.
other movie where he's not a bad guy, Star Trek VI: Undiscovered Country. He's the Klingon who's trying to make a peace agreement with Starfleet, and he's
Oh,
actually
okay.
a good guy.
Okay.
And I do like that movie, but Star Trek 6. But yeah, Straw Dogs. That's a
Oh,
movie. I mean, they remade it. I never saw the remake, but
I
that's
didn't
the
either.
type of movie like I hate to say they don't make it anymore because they did remake it, but you know, that has a classic movie moment that you'll never, if you see it, you'll never forget. And
Hey.
it involves a bear
a bear trap. Yeah. And it's a weird movie because Dustin Hoffman's the star. it's a weird movie because he's
Yeah.
in England.
And he's wearing thick glasses and
Yeah.
yeah.
Was it Elke Summer or is it Britt Eklund as his wife? One of those two.
I don't remember. Yeah. I'm not sure.
So David Warner.
Okay, good choice. Good choice. Okay, since we talked about Vision Quest, I'm giving my honorary Oscar to Linda Fiorentino, who was a 10 in that movie. And I was certain in that moment her career is about to blast off because she was unforgettable. And she ended up being in some other movies, but never became the big superstar that I assumed she was going to be. But man, she hits it out of the park in that movie.
She is. Me and that was a buddy of mine, Tim. That was our number one woman for like 5 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She was number one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yum, yum, yum.
Worthy. Very
worthy.
Okay. We got to wrap it up, guys. So that's going to be it for this week. This is the Great Classic Movie Debate. I'm Kenny.
I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
And don't forget to check out our sister channel, the Great Classic Rock Debate. If you're watching right now, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until we meet again, we will see you next time.